This is the brand new S.H.Figuarts Deku that just released. I got mine in like a couple days ago. I like it more than the Revoltech version, and I can say that because I own the Revoltech version and I sold it. My version of Deku from Revo fell apart every time I touched it. I looked at that thing and it fell apart. This one does have an issue where it comes apart. I'll talk about that when we get to articulation. But overall, this is a better figure, and I hope this review shows you that. I hope I can highlight that. For the sculpt, paint, and details, I think they knocked it out the park. I'm currently watching My Hero Academia, and he looks like he stepped off screen. The only difference being is he should probably, at least his scarf, should be a little more dirty than it is here. In the anime, his scarf is kind of dingy, and I think they kind of like touched on that with the tattered look of it. But I think everything looks really good. Sculpt, paint, and details. I don't think they could have done anything better. As for accessories, this guy is pretty bare bones, I want to say. Comes with 3 sets of hands, fisted hands, open hands, and like some softer open hands, I guess you could say. He also comes with one of his cork powered hands. Kind of wish they had 2 of those. Not sure why it's not present, but it's not. Also, he comes with different types of hair. Not the entire hair, but the front of the hair is different. You can also swap the faces between any one of the hairs you want. It doesn't matter. You can have an angry face on this hair or the other one. Also comes with this quirk face, so his eyes are green and it's coming from his hair, so that's a thing. I know there's an issue with this guy presently where one of these will pop out. It's not that big of a deal. This one popped out on mine. I didn't glue it yet, I just put it back in, but if yours pops out, just put a little super glue in it and it's fine. Now let's get into articulation, and before we start any of that, I have to show you one glaring issue on this figure. My copy, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. I don't know if a lot of people have this yet, but on my copy anyway, as soon as you get to twisting, it pops right off. Now it doesn't break, and I would much rather it pop off than break, but I would much rather it not pop off at all. So if you have this figure on the way or you have yours, let me know in the comments what you think. Does yours pop off or not? I don't know why mine does, but it does. If I go too far forward, it pops off. I did put some floor polish in there to tighten it up because my torso was really loose out the box. It's not as floppy. It's still floppy, but it's not as floppy as it was. Out the box, this thing was like, this thing would just wiggle. It was so crazy. But let's get into the regular articulation now that that's out the way. The head will look up about that far, which is not bad considering all the stuff that's in there. You can actually shift the neck up and move it up a little bit more. It will also tuck into the mask, which I think is a nice touch. The Revo had like this compound neck where you pulled it out and it stretched out and looked kind of like a giraffe sometimes. This one doesn't have that, but it still has the same amount of range. He can't get really expressive with his emotions, so that's nice, especially when you add in the compound faces like the angry face or the smiling face. The shoulders will go up that far, which is way higher than the T-pose. It does have a shoulder swivel. They're doing that thing now where they put the ball joint with the cover on top. I don't really like that a lot. It's really prevalent with the One Piece figures. I absolutely hate the shoulders on the One Piece figures, but they did it here and it's not as bad. A lot of people did complain about the shoulders, and I will admit that this is very ugly, but it does function, so I can't be too mad at it. I just wish they would have made the sculpt continue a little more. Like, there's no reason to have a gap there when you could just make the shoulder extend into the chest and just cover it up. So that's kind of lame. There is a bicep swivel at this little cuff here. You do get double jointed elbows, and you also get like this ball joint at the Air Force glove, which is nice too, especially for certain poses. So that will swivel any way you want it, and it will tilt and move. Same thing for the wrist. It's on the typical joint. I want to say too, watch out for these hands. I had someone message me when I got this and told me their hands are really tight. I don't have that issue. Mine is loose, but I don't have the issue of the hands being too tight on the ball joint. He told me he almost broke his. If the figure's on the way to you, again, watch out for the wrist. That could be a problem. Also get articulation on this scarf too. This will go any way you want it to. It'll flap up, flap down, swivel, all that good stuff. Torso articulation on the top will go that far just on the top and that far before mine pops off on the bottom, which is really good. I kind of wish that this joint right here, I wish that one of these joints had a hinge so he could get a little bit more. Deku does a lot of crunching and crouching, so it would have been nice to get those poses in this figure. You still can, but you might pop the torso off. It's one of the few figures where he doesn't go back as far as he does forward, which is a plus to me because I'd much rather him go forward further. The hips will kick up that far. The same dude who told me about the wrist, he told me they should have made the belt, like the belt and the torso should have been a soft rubber. That way he could kick up a little bit higher. but he can't kick up about that high. He can kick back about that far, out about that far. Do get a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, which I think is a really nice touch, especially considering the sculpt, because they did leave a little bit of room back there for this to tuck into, so that's nice. Ankles are really nice. These are probably some of my favorite ankles on a figure. They go down that far, up that far. You do get an ankle swivel, and this is also my favorite piece, which is the boot rotation. But it's a ball joint, so it'll go any which way you need. So he can get really deep on like the outward motion of his ankles. That's as far as he'll go spread with both feet still flat on the floor. So that's pretty nice. Now, for size comparisons, I'm gonna put him up against all the anime guys. Here he is next to Daima Goku, and then here he is next to grown-up Goku. Either Deku's too big or Goku's too small. I don't really know here. He's next to MDLX Mega Man and a Joy Toy Blade Guard veteran standing straight up. Here's next to Yusuke and Luffy. More anime dudes. And again, I don't know if Deku is supposed to be that tall. I know Yusuke is definitely not supposed to be that tall. And Luffy, I think that's about right. I just think Deku's really big. To a Meditoys Murloc and a Mayfex Black Panther, just because it fell off my shelf. But that's how tall he is next to them. Here he is next to a Mezco Batman from The Batman, and a Harbinger Studios Lizard Man, Como of the Isles. Here's next to a Odious from Unparalleled Universe. Mezco Conan for height. And here he is next to a Meditoys Orc, Condaddy or Kargath, and Kamen Rider build. But yeah, again, I'm not sure how big Deku is. I know he's not as tall as some of these other characters. Other than that, this figure is phenomenal. I love it. I love everything about it. I'm glad I got it. I cannot wait for Bakugo, because Bakugo's outfit is probably one of my favorites from My Hero. So I'm all in on this line. I missed out on Todoroki, but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to swing back and grab one. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. I really appreciate it. Everybody using the affiliate links, really appreciate it. They help me do the things I do. So far, they're really paying off, so I really appreciate that. My Big Bad links are doing really good, so keep running those up. If you're not, go ahead and run them up. Big Bad Toy Store is, I'm partnered with them, so anytime you use a link, you click a link, you pre-order, or you buy something in stock, it helps me out, so I appreciate that. Let me know in the comments if you have this figure. I didn't even ask y'all that, but let me know in the comments if you own this figure or it's on the way, and are you excited for it. Make sure you comment and like the video, watch one of these other videos on the screen, and I'm out.